Hello, spiritual seeker. This is Deepa Lou, and I'm the creative mystic. And I ring this bell to awaken you to your divine presence, help center you, and that divine presence is always with you, but we're not always aware of. So today I was inspired and guided to really talk about how to stop repetitive thoughts. Now, if you're tuning in here, you are probably somebody who is having challenges with repetitive thoughts, and those repetitive thoughts most likely are negative in some form, whether it's, you know, that voice that berates yourself when you don't do something as well as you'd like to, or you have the thoughts of worry about something that is going to happen to either you, your family, or in the world. Those negative thoughts, those repetitive thoughts of, "Oh, woe is me," or, "Oh, no, this might happen," "What if this happens?" All keep you from creating a life you love. It prevents you from, allowing your greatness to come forth. It's the biggest reason why I see spiritual seekers not make it the spiritual advancement that they desire, is because they actually feel like a victim to their repetitive thoughts. Now, you might feel that way, that like they just seem to come up. And you're not alone. Most people feel that way, like when they have repetitive thoughts, like they're happening to them and they have no control over them. So I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to, berate yourself some more for those repetitive thoughts, especially if you've been someone who's been introduced to the law of attraction, but you haven't really been able to learn how to actually live it in your life or have it work for you. You may have some skepticism on it, or maybe you've seen it work sometimes, but not all the time. That happens. Um, if you're having repetitive thoughts of negativity, you might worry about, "Oh no, I'm going to be, manifesting negative things in my life, but I don't know how to stop it." And so was inspired to talk about this because one, I've had this challenge myself. I've had it. It's something I've had to work on to overcome. And what I want you to understand, number one, is when you're in those repetitive thoughts of negativity, of berating yourself, of worrying about something else, to one, realize you're in your subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind, I always talk about how it wants to keep you right where you are. It's seeking, safety, security, a sameness. It doesn't want anything to change. And so that subconscious thinking, is where you've been programmed and wants to keep you there. Okay. So if you can start to just practice the awareness and hook up, connect that, oh, wait a minute, these are repetitive thoughts, means that I have dropped into my subconscious thinking. And most of all, I have dropped away from my connection with my higher power. Whether you believe your higher power is God, Buddha, Allah, spirit, the universe, does not matter the name, but you have now become unaware of the connection with your higher power and have connected with your fears and your worries. And so in order to advance more quickly in your spiritual growth, or to actually create a life you love, that my whole reason for wanting to do this podcast is to really help empower you to start to let your greatness that's within you come forth. Because I know that greatness within you is what's going to help you to be, you know, be, do, and have everything you desire, and also to help, the energy and vibration of what's happening on the planet. Each of us is here to serve and actually manifest what I've come to realize is called your present purpose. Because I tell people you have purposes, not just one, as you grow and evolve, because we're these spiritual beings that are meant to be always learning and growing, that purpose in your life will morph and change and could sometimes even do a 180, where it's a completely different purpose than you envisioned or thought it was going to be. And so it's about how do you actually, let your greatness come forth and manifest your present purpose. Your present purpose, and also, and how do you, create a life that you truly love. And so this is why it's so important to stop those repetitive negative thoughts and this focus that you're having on what you need to be afraid of. And that's what's behind all of it. In Course in Miracles, it talks about just basically there are two emotions, love and fear. And you may not be a Course in Miracles person, but what I have found by working with my clients, by breaking it down into those two emotions, it makes it much easier for people to determine where they are. When we start to talk about, how are you feeling? If we talk about, like, well, are you sad, or are you this, or are you that? Not everybody is adept enough to know exactly what's going on, but usually they can be pretty clear on, am I coming from fear or am I coming from love? And anytime you're worried, what is that? Of course, it's fear, right? Anytime you're, like, concerned that you're not going to get your fair share, or something bad's going to happen, fear, right? That's not love. And so anytime you berate yourself, fear, even though you go, well, how's that fear? But it doesn't, you don't want to analyze it. Just go, oh, can't be, it's not love, right? So anything that's not love is fear. And so that's what makes it a lot easier for you to determine where your thoughts are. So you're like, well, how do you stop the repetitive thoughts? So what has to start to happen is, that first step that has to happen is you have to start to become aware. Aware is the first step. Awareness that you're even in the repetitive thoughts. I know that for me, there was a time period where I had them going on and didn't even know. And then as I continued on the spiritual path, I started to become aware of when they were there. And it was a shock to me when I realized it, how often they were there. Like, I had to come to terms with that. And that's why I always talk about really getting honest with yourself of where you are spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. Because if you're mentally always berating yourself or complaining, that's another thing. Complaining is another form of fear, because you're complaining because you feel like there's been some kind of unjust thing happening to you, or something you don't like, and you don't think you can have what you like. Because if you thought you could, you would do more than just complain. You would actually take an action to manifest the thing you desire. And so you want to start to become aware of the thoughts in your mind, maybe even coming out of your mouth, which would be words, but to become aware of, oh, these are repetitive negative thoughts. And once you become aware, then you can take the second step. But if you haven't even gotten to the point of being aware of it, other than when you actually complain verbally, because I can guarantee you, if you're complaining verbally, you're complaining in your thoughts. If you're, fearfully talking about things all the time, about, you might get sick, or what if this would happen, or then you have those thoughts, because the only way they come out in words is because it's going on inwardly, even if you're not aware of it until it comes out of your mouth. And so you want to start to become aware of, where am I? What thoughts are going on? And when that you see that it's berating, complaining, worrying, then you take a deep breath and you pause. You pause and you go, okay, you recognize and become aware that I'm not coming from my higher self. I'm coming from my fearful self. Now, what can I do to shift myself from this fear to love? Okay. Now, what I recommend once you make that realization is to pause, take a deep belly breath, just closing your eyes if you can. If you're driving, obviously you don't want to close your eyes, but then take that deep belly breath and feel the inhalation coming in into the belly, and then exhale, allowing it to release. And then just look up towards the third eye, behind closed eyelids, and just focus your energy on there and do a little silent prayer to your higher power. Could be like, I call my higher power Divine Mother a lot, and I say, Divine Mother, I know you've got my back. Mother Mary has my back. Everything is happening for the betterment of my life. So I start to affirm, you know, positive spiritual truths to help shift me out of the repetitive thoughts. Okay, so it takes practice right now to, one, become aware, and then two, to pause, because you might become aware and you might think, I'm too busy to pause. I'm going to just, move on. But when you keep coming back to that pause for a moment, and it does not have to be a long pause, it can be a pause for 5 seconds, do a little silent prayer for 5 seconds, and then move forward again. in just those few seconds, you can feel that moment of peace. And when you can feel that inner peace, that connection with your higher power, Divine Mother, God, Spirit, that's when the repetitive thoughts will cease. Okay, so it becomes a practice now of becoming aware, pausing, prayer. It's, I just realized that that makes app aware, pausing, prayer. And that prayer of bringing your energy back to the third eye inwardly to like not worrying about everything that's happening outside the world or something that happened with another person, but bring all your energy in and do that prayer of affirming that you're a divine being, that your higher power has your back, and that in this moment right now, everything is fine. Everything is great, and affirm that because everything is. Unless you were standing in a fire burning you right now, everything at this one moment is actually great. It's actually fun. And the more you connect with your higher power, Divine Mother, the more you're going to like be able to release this habit. Because what you want to realize is the repetitive thoughts of negativity is, again, one, you're programming, and two, a habit. Okay, it's not happening to you. It's because you've been programmed to think that this is going to help you, of which it never does. If you've learned anything about law of attraction, you want to keep your thoughts on what you desire, not what you're afraid of. And it's the one thing that we have to start to do is weaken the neural pathways that keep us focused on what we're afraid of and strengthen the neural pathways to what we desire. Okay. And so when you're actually thinking about your focus, you want to remember, energy flows where attention goes. And I tell people this because when you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, you're like, oh, this is where energy's going. Do I want energy to be going here? Do I want this? Because wherever energy is going, that's the manifestation process. That's what's going to get created in your life. And so it's about really starting to become the master of your thoughts and your energy. And even though you may feel right now that you're a victim to these thoughts, keep affirming that no, in actuality, I'm the master of my thoughts. I actually can change this. And this is one of the things I work with my clients because it's something that's really challenging to do on your own. I'm giving you some tips and everything that you can do, but you want to realize that if you've got somebody that really knows the spiritual truths and can hold this for you, to reach out and start getting help. Um, Working with a coach can often help you to have the framework and also the ability to get to have another person help you with your blind spot to help you to overcome these repetitive thoughts. But if you're just going to do it on your own, like I said, aware, pause, prayer. Use those 3 steps to start to help you to stop those repetitive thoughts and to bring in the spiritual truths. All right? Have a miraculous day. And remember, greatness is within you. It's time to let it out. And if you resonate with any of this, please feel free to subscribe, give a like, a thumbs up, and I love to hear comments. Blessings.